Okay, it's Uncle Roddus back again with some more vinyl to show. Um, what is the date today? Something like the 30th of October? Must be. Sounds about right. Anyway, 31st maybe. I can't remember the date. It's a Sunday night. I've just got back from Dunedin today, or this afternoon, to the biannual Lines of Flight experimental music weekend festival. Actually across 3 days: Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It happens every 2 years, but this has been 4 years since the last one because of COVID. Basically, they canned the last one. Plus, one of the organisers of the event passed away in 2020, not the year after the previous one. So yeah, there's some international acts this time, but it was all just the usual soundscapey, experimental, noisy, free jazzy stuff. Oh, yeah, it was really cool. We had a great weekend and lots of cool things. Few acts seen before, of course, and a few new combinations that happen. And yes, I've seen some of the guys play in different combinations before. So yeah, it was a really cool weekend. Caught up with a bunch of people. I did pick up this, which was cool. I'm waiting to score a copy of this. Archive Fever. It's the New Zealand underground sound and fanzine interviews from 91 to 99. This is a kind of similar put together thing from that same with the Pull Down the Shades book that I got recently, which was put together from a whole lot of fanzines called the Garage Fanzine back in the late 80s, I believe. So yeah, this is really good. So looking forward to getting into that. I have had a bit of a read through. I might change my glasses. So, and being because it was the Lines of Flight, I decided to play a bit off this while I'm making the video. This is the Dead Sea's The White House LP. I might have shown it just recently in a video because this is actually a new reissue, expanded slightly, out on Bada Bing. This has got a second disc with it with some other material. I believe it's a live recording that was recorded, and one of the guys at the Lines of Flight said that he was at that concert, at that gig. So this is quite a popular LP from the Dead Sea. So yeah, my first time that I've had a copy of it. So of course I got to go record shopping on the way to Dunedin and in Dunedin itself. So got quite a few things to show, but I have had a little backlog, a little pile built up since my last video 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I'll get through those first. So the first up is a reissue of this LP by a band called Homebrew. This is a New Zealand rap record. Now I'd been familiar with it because it's been popping up on the collectors. On the Facebook pages, and it's a real collectible, or it was a real collectible, and really hard to get it on vinyl. So it came out in 2011, I believe, and of course at the time it only came out on CD, I believe. But I understand that I had no idea about it. I understand it went to actually number 1 in the record charts back in 2011. So it was quite a popular release, but it didn't get released on vinyl straight away, and then it got a kind of a reissue by an overseas label out of Europe, but they released it as a 4 LP set because it's a CD. It had a lot of music on it, and so they spread it out across four pieces of vinyl. So there's a gatefold there, and that is pretty rare and it was really pretty limited edition. And so copies of that, and I didn't realise that was the case. I thought it was actually a vinyl issue of it in New Zealand, but that wasn't the case. So what was the case is that got quite rare and collectible, and people paying up to $400 or $500 for that. So I knew that I probably would not ever have a copy of that. But this is now put together on a double LP, so they they put some more tracks onto the LP, each LP, so to bring it down from 4. We did miss one, we did lose one track off it, but I mean, to be honest, they're not long tracks. So the other LP, you would have been up and down fucking changing it quite a lot with 4 LPs. Now, another reissue is this one. This is the new Beast Wars reissue of their second LP from 2013. So it's kind of like the 10th anniversary. So yeah, I came a little bit later onto Beast Wars, so I didn't have any of the originals of the first 2 or 3 records, but I have got originals of the other ones. It's been reissued on the nice red vinyl, so they do that a lot. This band, they'll issue several versions of an LP of different colours and variants and that, and then in fairly limited numbers. I mean, they are a popular band in New Zealand. They're a sludge metal sort of band. But they do release limited editions of all sorts, and then they sell out fairly quickly, and so their original copies do become quite collectible. So they are pretty expensive to pick up the original. So I've got pretty much, apart from the last couple which I picked up on release, I've actually got at least these 2 anyway, reissues, and then they have released a new LP as well. Tyranny of Distance. Now, this is actually a covers record, and they have done 8 covers of quite some really famous New Zealand music. A real mix of songs from across the board of different types of bands and stuff. But so they've got an early Gordon's track, Identity, the Superette track, a Snapper track, and then more recently they've done a Marlon Williams track, then back to a Children's Hours track, Nadia Reid, Julia Deans, and a 3D. So it's a real cross section of songs and genres that they've chosen to cover. Unfortunately, on the first couple of listens, to be honest, they haven't really done much with them. They've just kind of playing them in their own type of style, and they all kind of sound a little bit the same. So I need to give it a bit more attention, and but a couple of other people have said the same thing. This is on this blue vinyl. So yeah, I'm gonna have to see how that pans out. I know I like their first album a real lot, and their third album. I haven't heard the second one yet. I actually haven't had a chance to play it. Okay, so yeah, those turned up a couple of weeks ago, and then another purchase I got from Flying Out was this one here. Now this one was one I had seen around a few times, and one of the guys on Facebook had messaged me about them playing in Christchurch. They played a gig supporting this record. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it into town. But anyway, so this is just out on Power Tool Records. It's a 7-track EP at 45 RPM. So, but it is quite long-ish, a record, just on a black vinyl. Anyway, this has really impressed me. I've only heard it a couple of times so far, because like I said, I've been away the last 4 days, and it was sort of last week or so before that it arrived. It's got a real early clean vibe to it. So for fans of the clean in New Zealand, I think that they will probably quite enjoy that. So that's the Fuzzies. Cupid, it's called. Now, and a couple more recent arrivals. The new LP by the band Dick Move. And this is a bit of a kind of a feminist punk band from Wellington, I believe. Really, the first album was really good. This sounds okay, but so far I haven't had a chance to play it any more than about once. And this is on the red vinyl. So lots of colourful vinyl coming out at the moment. So yeah, that's going to get a bit more attention. So yeah, and this is on 112 Records, and I buy everything on 112 Records nowadays because it's very rare that they put out a record that I don't like. And they have, they cover quite a few different types of music, but they always seem to do really well. There was one that I struggled with, but I have got to like it a little bit more. There is another couple due out soon, or another one at least. And then back to reissues again. There's a reissue. This is a major label reissue on Warner. I'm sure, perhaps. Oh, maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, Tadpole. This was a early to mid 2000s. Pre 2005, I'm pretty sure this came out. Probably about 2000. Doesn't say on the original release. So, yeah. So this is the first time on vinyl. It's never had been on vinyl before. I really like this album. I really like it. I've got the CD. I was onto it at the time of release. Saw them live back in the day. So I think they put this, and there was another record after this. I think I maybe have on CD. So yeah, this is the first time on vinyl. There was a signed edition that came out. I didn't really get a chance to jump on that. I was kind of waiting for it to turn up flying out so I could pick it up through them, and eventually it did. All right, so the trip this weekend down to Dunedin. So left on Thursday morning-ish, late morning-ish, or mid-morning-ish, and got down to Timaru. It was the first kind of major town I got to. Now, the Timaru had a little second-hand record shop, which I visited a couple of times on previous trips to Dunedin, but that closed down. That was actually gone the last time I cruised through. But I'd seen on Facebook mentioning that there was a new shop in town called the Vinyl Revolution, and yeah, the Vinyl Revolution. So I swung into town, the centre of this township, to have a look for that, and found it easy enough. And it was, yeah, it's a nice little shop on a corner. It's quite roomy, and they haven't got a lot of stuff, but they've got like angle displays with records on each side, and then they've got some bins, and then they've got a wall display. Most of it is reissue, new reissue stuff of kind of alternative music, and some mainstream. There was Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, stuff like that. So it wasn't. And then there was quite a lot of newish or reissue metal albums, which I don't know, stuff I didn't recognise. So yeah, I don't know what that stuff was. So and then a small second-hand selection which I looked through, which didn't really have much, but it was a quaint wee shop. Nice lady behind the counter. We had a little chat. She was actually playing the new Rolling Stones record, and we had a little chat about that. I'm not intending to buy it, but it did sound quite cool. So from her, I picked up like I say, these are all new, brand new, resealed. This was all sealed. This is the 2021 reissue on Bad Brains Records, so it's an official reissue. I had this many years ago. I actually had a copy of this. It's just on the black vinyl, I'm sure. Yeah. This has got Pay to Come, which was their first 7-inch? Way back in what? 79, I believe. Anyway, that Pay to Come was the very first punk song I ever heard on a late night radio show when I was probably about 13 years old. Absolutely blew my mind. Yeah. So so I played this tonight, and definitely I've been cleaning since I got home and watched New Zealand lose the fucking World Cup in the rugby. Most disappointed about that. Yeah, I've been cleaning up these records and having a listen to a few of them. So, and also at Vinyl Revolution, I picked up a copy of this. This is the Chills reissue, and my record has finished, so I better quickly backtrack that. It's a very short side. Just stick it back on the start again. Sorry about that. You know me, I'm totally unorganised. Okay, so the Chills. This is the Chills' first full album, I think released in 1987 originally, and it was recorded in 1987. So this has been remixed and remastered. But I don't know, I've never had an original. I am familiar with a couple of the songs on the actual album itself. But I don't know what the original sounded like. But this sounds really good. It's very clean, very great pressing, and it's also been expanded. So there's kind of like a 45 RPM second disc with 6 tracks on it. One's an alternative version, and the others are all different. Yeah, it looks like they're all different songs that are not on the other album. So not quite sure of the story of those yet because I haven't actually read the liner notes in the middle here. This is a limited edition coloured vinyl version. There are 2 or 3 other versions of this with different coloured vinyls. I've got this so this is kind of like a lime green. That's the main LP, the Brave Worlds LP. Yes, I played this tonight. Really good. Chills. I to be honest, when I was younger, I knew the Chills pretty well. I mean, they were all over student radio and they had some pretty big songs, but I never really got into them big time. But I'm certainly enjoying them a lot. So this is the 45 RPM additional EP on this kind of a pinky coloured vinyl. So yeah, that was cool. So I'm enjoying that immensely. And then, okay, so I got to Dunedin, went to the Thursday night session, met up with some people that I know, and some of them that you might even know if you're in the vinyl community. James Buttery was down there, and we caught up with each other and spent a bit of a weekend together, and him and his friend Ben. And we went out on Friday. Ben, James, and I went out and we went shopping for records. Now, first we went to Relics, but I'll get to that in a minute. After Relics, we shot over to Zodiac in South Dunedin, which is about a 10-minute drive away from the central city, because Dunedin's not a big town. It was a miserable fucking day. It was actually snowing heavily while we were in the shop at the end of October, but while we were in Zodiac, but it didn't last long, and then the sun came out. I've been to Zodiac a few times over the years when I've been down there. Haven't bought a lot from them, but the very first time I went to Zodiac, I scored 2 early Nurse with Wound records, and it was at the first time I went to Lines of Flight. It was very appropriate records to buy. So there was a lot of stuff in there. I could have bought a lot of stuff from there actually. They were quite interesting, and the boys picked out quite a lot of stuff, and they were humming and hawing, and then due to budgetary restraints, they ended up putting quite a bit back, and some of it I could have been quite interested in. I decided, because it's quite a big second-hand selection. It's a kind of a bookshop as well as a second-hand record shop. So they got a big selection of second-hand stuff, pretty much the usual stuff. We were there for quite a while, and I went right through the bins, or a lot of the bins, after the initial looking through the New Zealand bins, which there wasn't much for me in there, and the new arrival bins, which there was quite a lot of interesting stuff. And I decided I wanted to buy something a little bit different. And sometimes in these shops there's a lot of older records that you kind of don't know that well. And I spotted this one, and it's got a really cool cover, and it's a gatefold. And it was nicely priced. It's on Mountain Records from 1975, and it's the Baker Gurvitz Army. And I love the cover. The cover is so cool. So I looked it up on Discogs just to get an idea of what type of music it was, and it was suggested it was proggy rock sort of stuff. So hey, that sounds pretty cool to me. And it was only $20, which is not much for a record nowadays. So I thought I'll give it a go. And so I got it home here, and now I've cleaned it up, and I've discovered that it's actually a Ginger Baker. So I'm sure some of you already know that. That this is a band that Ginger Baker got together with the Gurvitz brothers, and they recorded several records back in the day. I think this was their second or third LP. As a matter of fact, according to Discogs, they actually released an album in 2019. I think Ginger Baker died not that long ago, didn't he? Is that right? Anyway, because he was a bit of an Antigua. He's a bit of a hard man, wasn't he? Anyway, so I've had to listen to it once, and it's not too bad. And then after we went to after we went to Zodiac, because we were over that side of town, and we talked about it, and we were talking about it the night before when a few of us got together at a bar before the Lines of Flight's first session on Thursday night. And I missed it on Facebook, but there was a guy on Facebook said, I'm trying to sell, I need to sell some of my records, I'm moving back overseas, and blah, 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 and that. And Chris had already been to see the collection on Wednesday. So James got hold of this guy called Jamie, and we went round to his house, the three of us, and we had a look through, and he had a bloody excellent collection, and a very, very good collection. And he was, so he said, look, he showed us basically through all his boxes and his bins and his shelving and what he had. And if I was into 7-inch New Zealand stuff, man, I would have been in heaven, if I had the money. He wasn't selling all of it. He was sort of, there's a few records we pulled out and he said, oh, no, I probably don't want to sell that. But I was sort of holding back, and I know I could have spent a fucking load of money there, really could, because he had some good stuff. I was kind of holding back a bit. I let the other guys look at some. They pulled out some stuff, which I was quite interested in too, but it was a little bit over the... I don't want to spend too much money. I'd already spent a bit, starting to spend a bit. Well, in Relics I spent a little bit too. But he had 2 compilations that I've been really hanging out to get my hands on. So this is the Flying Nun compilation from 1990. Why don't they even put dates on these things? 1991. There it is. God, I can't read it. It's right there. So this is 1991, which is interesting because I'm sure there was a 10th anniversary compilation that came out on Flying Nun, and that was from 1991. But anyway, this is called Pink Flying Saucers Over the Southern Alps, and this is actually quite a hard compilation to find. And I have bid on it a couple, or at least I do remember. I think I bid on it once on Trade Me, and I gave up because I couldn't. It just went for too much. But it's got all the usual. I mean, it's got the Chills, the Tall Dwarfs, the JPS, Abel Tasmans, blah blah blah. I'm probably familiar with a lot of the songs, but maybe not all of them. I don't know. I know, the Skeptic song I know, and the Chill song I know, and some of them I probably will know, even if I don't know the names of them. So I'm really, really rapt to have this. It still was reasonably expensive, but he was selling them for good prices. I mean, he wasn't, because we were looking some of them up and what they were going for, or what they had been selling for and going for on Discogs and that. And he said, I don't want to sell them at Discogs prices to you guys. We come to a pretty amicable agreement. And even better still was this one, which is another one I'd missed out on bidding just because the bidding just got too high for me. This is really one I've been trying to get hold of for a while to, fill out my New Zealand compilation thing. I do actually have it on CD. I've actually had it on CD for many years. So I'm quite familiar with what's on it. It's a real mix of stuff, but it's really cool. So what is it, 79 to 82? So it's a very short period of New Zealand music, but there's a fucking lot of really good songs on here from that period. That was a very productive time in New Zealand alternative music and post-punk, punky stuff. So we've got some real classic bands with Toy Love on here, the Spelling Mistakes, the Features, Albums for Children, the Clean are on here, the Screaming Mimes are on here, Blam Blam Blam's No Depression in New Zealand is on here, which is one of the greatest songs ever written in New Zealand. So it's a double LP, and it's actually a really eclectic mix too. Not just the post-punky punk stuff. There's some electronic stuff with the Pulsing by Body Electric, which is really cool to have that on vinyl, that track, because the EP that was on originally sells for quite a lot of money for 2 songs. So there are 2 rather big holes in my New Zealand compilations collection that have anyway, quickly moving on to Relics. So Relics was actually the first shop that James and Ben and I went to when I met them at the cafe where they were having their breakfast, and it's only a couple of minutes walk away. And Relics, their stock has hugely increased since I was last there. So all the New Zealand bins are now down the front of the counter, on the front of the counter sort of thing area, and then the rest of the shop, there's so much more stock in that, and I didn't have a lot. I had a quick peek around the shop, and I had a quick peek in the fucking jazz bins. But by that stage, I already spent way too much money. But the New Zealand collection is probably the best in the country, from what I've seen. It is massive, mostly new, but sprinkled with second-hand stuff and some older new releases. A lot of it I had. I mean, even for such a big collection, there was a lot of it I had. There was a few that I didn't know, and that. So I was thumbing my way through that, and there was one in particular that I knew was in the shop, and I was looking for it, and I was hoping it was still going to be there, and that is this one. This is a new release on Flying Nun. This is Flying Nun LP 621. 621. God, it wasn't that long ago they were only around just on going to 600. So they have been pretty busy. I have to check which ones I've missed out on. So the band is called Vorstellen, and the LP is called Parallelograms, and the Vorstellen is made up of some people involved with the Subliminals and Avoid Avoid, two really good bands that I have records from. So double LP, gatefold, just on the black vinyl. So it's kind of like a kind of krautrocky sort of record. So it's really good. It's not a raucous krautrocky record. It's quite a laid back one. But I've listened to it once, and it has fitted the description that was given to me by a couple of people. Including the guy that posted it originally on Facebook, Grant. We met him at the bar there on the Thursday night. He didn't make it to the concerts at all, but we caught up with him. So he recommended that. So, and then I came across a couple of albums by this band who I knew. I picked up their first LP. Now this is Das Vadris. This is called Dark Winning. I'm not too sure. I've got two LPs here I picked up by them. So this is like their second and third LPs. I think they were. I don't know. I don't know much about it because nobody's put these on Discogs yet. I'm pissed because I'm gonna have to go and do it. I'm a lazy bastard, you know. But anyway, the first album they put out was something about Dunedin. It was called, the title was something Dunedin. Yeah, it's really good, really good. I really enjoyed it. Andrew Spittle, I think, is the guy who's been in a lot of Dunedin's bands. And I know another record that he put out that recently, a reissue of a older LP that he put out, which is really good, called the Scottish Play. And he's been around for good 20 plus years. So anyway, I don't know what he's going to be like, but this, I was really pleased to find them because they were really cheap for brand new records. They were $40. But they are a local Dunedin band, so the band had just dropped them into the shop to put in the shelving, and so saved me getting them from Bandcamp. And then this other one of theirs is the Stars Real. Yeah, Andrew Spittle, Jeremy Taylor, Darcy Monteith, Isaac Randall. Wow, yeah. So this is this was recorded in January and March this year, okay, and there ain't no information on that one. So maybe this is the latest one, and this was the one that was previous to that. But I know these releases were very close together, so haven't played them yet. So looking forward to hearing those. Now, and this is the next record is one of the records. They were really crappy sleeves though. I'll have to change that. The next record is one I've been wanting to get onto for a while. It's a reissue of a 2011 EP almost that was put out by this Christchurch band called T54. Now I've got their second album that was on cassette. On CD via Flying Nun, which came out kind of 2014 or 15 maybe. I don't know. And the record's finished again, so I am obviously talking a lot and a long time, and I'll just pop that off of there. So, T54, a Christchurch band, and Joe Sampson was one of the guys. I'm sure I saw his name somewhere. Yeah, here we go. Joe Sampson is from Salad Boys, he was involved with this apparently. So this got reissued, but it wasn't reissued locally. It's on Ally or Ally Records, and from Bandcamp we could buy it from Bandcamp, but from getting it from America, like the postage was about $60 or something ridiculous. So and then when some copies did turn up here in the shops, but they were like $90 because they were getting them imported. Now the story I heard over the weekend was that the band did get some copies sent to them, and they arrived and the whole lot were warped, and so we've only been able to pick up the international copies. But, so this is a gatefold, as you can see. It's just on the black vinyl, but so what they did is they've got the first original EP on sides 1 and 2, which is played at 45 RPM, and then they've expanded it a bit like the Chills one. But this is kind of the opposite to the Chills one. They've expanded it onto a 33 RPM record because there's quite a lot of stuff on the other one. So the side C is a live in studio and side D is home recordings. So I think that probably covers pretty much most of what the band had done. So yeah, I haven't actually played that yet. It was still quite pricey. I mean, I did get it a little bit cheaper than what I'd seen it in Flying Out. Yeah, grabbed a copy of that. So, and then finally, the last one is the find of the weekend. Well, apart from the 2 compilations. So I'm in Relics and I'm thumbing through the New Zealand bin. So I went through the whole lot. I went through every bin just to see what they had, and then I was like, I'll grab what I can. Went back and grabbed those other ones, but I got about 2/3 of the way through because they're all in alphabetical because they're really they keep them all very well set out down there. The guy that runs the shop, he's pretty anal about it apparently, which is really cool. So it's actually nice. I found this, and I have been looking for this for some time, and I've shown over the years, and I don't know how many of you will remember, but I've shown quite a lot of records by the Braille Collective from Wellington in the 1980s and early 90s, and this is one of the last ones I need to get. So the Braille Records put out, they're a very eclectic kind of jazz collective, and it's very unique sort of jazz, very unique to New Zealand, I believe. Very strange music, and the influence of this lot of these people back in the day. I've heard it on some of the slightly later records. Malcolm. I can't remember that. I said it doesn't. Oh, here we go. Malcolm Reed? No, who is it? Well, maybe he's not on this. Oh, David Long? So David Long's someone who I've just picked up a record from recently. And who was the other guy? Neil Duncan, was it? I was showing a record recently, the guy